The day started like any other on Earth. People went about their usual business, unaware that their lives were about to change forever. It was a sunny Tuesday morning when the first signs appeared. High above the planet, in the cold emptiness of space, a fleet of massive ships suddenly blinked into existence. Their sleek, silvery bodies reflected the sun's light, creating a dazzling display that caught the attention of Earth's satellites and observatories. At NASA's Mission Control, alarms blared as screens lit up with urgent messages. Scientists and technicians rushed to their stations, their faces a mix of excitement and fear. The room buzzed with activity as they tried to make sense of what they were seeing. "Are those ships?" asked one wide-eyed analyst, pointing at the high-resolution images on the main screen. The NASA director nodded grimly. "It appears so, and they're not ours." Within hours, the news spread across the globe. Social media exploded with theories and speculation. World leaders huddled in emergency meetings, trying to decide how to respond to this unprecedented situation. Aboard the largest ship in the alien fleet, Commander Zixthor paced back and forth on the bridge. His tentacles twitched nervously as he watched the blue planet grow larger on the view screen. "Status report," he barked at his second-in-command. "We have achieved stable orbit, Commander," replied the officer. "The humans have detected our presence, but they have not taken any hostile actions." Zixthor's eyes narrowed. "Curious. I expected more resistance. No matter. Prepare our ultimate weapon. We will show these primitives the might of the Galactic Confederation." Back on Earth, the initial panic had given way to a strange calm. People gathered in parks and town squares, their eyes turned to the sky. Some held signs welcoming the aliens, while others prayed for protection. But there was no mass hysteria, no widespread looting or violence. In New York City, Sarah Thompson, a wildlife biologist, stood in Times Square, watching the news on the giant screens. She felt a mix of fear and excitement. As a scientist, she couldn't help but be thrilled at the prospect of encountering an alien species. But as a human, she worried about their intentions. "I hope they're friendly," she murmured to herself. At the United Nations headquarters, an emergency session was underway. Representatives from every nation had gathered to discuss the situation and formulate a response. "We must show strength," declared one delegate. "Ready our missiles and fighter jets." "No," countered another. "We should attempt peaceful communication first. We don't want to start an interstellar war." As the debate raged on, a young intern rushed into the chamber, waving a piece of paper. Excuse me," he shouted, his voice cutting through the noise. "We've just received a message from the alien ships." The room fell silent as all eyes turned to the intern. The Secretary General took the paper and read it aloud, his voice trembling slightly. "People of Earth, we are the Galactic Confederation. Your planet now belongs to us. Surrender or face annihilation. You have one Earth rotation to comply." A collective gasp filled the room, followed by furious whispers. The Secretary General raised his hands for silence. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation, "we must decide our next move carefully. The fate of our world hangs in the balance." As the UN debated, Commander Zixthor watched Earth's cities twinkling in the darkness. He felt a twinge of doubt. The humans' lack of military response confused him. Were they so primitive that they didn't understand the threat? Or did they have some secret weapon? "Commander," called out his weapons officer, "the beast is ready for deployment. Shall we proceed?" Zixthor hesitated for a moment, then nodded firmly. "Yes, it's time to show these humans the true meaning of fear. Unleash the beast." As the alien ship's bay doors opened, preparing to launch their ultimate weapon, the people of Earth waited with bated breath. In living rooms and public squares, in offices and schools, billions of eyes were turned to the sky, wondering what the next hours would bring. Little did they know that the beast about to be unleashed upon them would change everything in ways no one, human or alien, could have ever predicted. The world held its breath as the alien ship's bay doors slowly opened. In the UN chamber, leaders watched live satellite footage, their faces pale with fear. On streets and in homes, people huddled around screens, waiting to see humanity's fate unfold. Commander Zixthor stood tall on his ship's bridge, his tentacles twitching with excitement. At last, he hissed, "The humans will learn true terror." A massive pod, easily the size of a football field, detached from the alien mothership. It glowed with an eerie blue light as it descended towards Earth. Military bases around the world went on high alert, missiles primed and pilots scrambling to their jets. But before any human defenses could react, the pod accelerated. It streaked through the atmosphere like a meteor, leaving a trail of blue fire in its wake. Radar operators tracked its descent, their voices rising in panic as they realized its trajectory. "It's heading for the Amazon rainforest," shouted a Brazilian air traffic controller. The pod crashed into the dense jungle with earth-shattering force. Trees for miles around were flattened instantly. A massive cloud of dust and debris rose into the air, visible from space. As news of the impact spread, the world's reaction was surprisingly muted. There was fear, yes, but also curiosity. What was this weapon the aliens had unleashed? Sarah Thompson, the wildlife biologist we met earlier, was among the first to volunteer for the expedition to the crash site. Her expertise in jungle environments made her invaluable. As she boarded a helicopter with a team of scientists and soldiers, she couldn't help but feel a mix of terror and excitement. "Whatever's in that pod," she told her teammates, "it's probably unlike anything we've ever seen before. We need to be careful, but also open-minded." The team arrived at the edge of the impact zone as dawn broke. The scene was apocalyptic. Where once stood towering trees now lay a vast, smoking crater. In the center sat the alien pod, its metallic surface unmarred despite the violent landing. As the team cautiously approached, Sarah noticed something odd. The surrounding wildlife, instead of fleeing in terror, seemed to be drawn to the pod. Curious monkeys peered from nearby trees, and colorful birds circled overhead. "This is strange," Sarah muttered. "It's almost like they're not afraid at all." Suddenly, with a hiss of escaping air, the pod began to open. The soldiers raised their weapons, fingers tense on triggers. Scientists fumbled with various scanning devices. Sarah held her breath, her heart pounding. But what emerged from the pod was not the terrifying monster they had all imagined. Instead, a creature about the size of a large dog stepped out, blinking in the sunlight. It had 6 legs, covered in soft, iridescent fur that shimmered with every color of the rainbow. Its face was oddly cat-like, with large, expressive eyes that looked around with clear intelligence. The creature let out a soft chirp, then bounded towards Sarah with playful energy. The soldiers tensed, but Sarah held up a hand, signaling them to wait. "It's okay," she said softly, kneeling down. "I don't think it means us any harm." The alien creature reached Sarah and nuzzled against her hand, making a purring sound. Sarah couldn't help but laugh. "Well, aren't you just the cutest little thing?" she said, scratching behind what she assumed were its ears. Back on the alien ship, Commander Zixthor watched the scene unfold with growing horror and confusion. This was not how it was supposed to go. The beast was their ultimate weapon, engineered to spread fear and destruction. Yet here it was, acting like a common pet. "What is happening?" he roared. "Why isn't the beast attacking? Why aren't the humans fleeing in terror?" His science officer cleared her throat nervously. "It appears, Commander, that we may have made a slight miscalculation regarding Earth's environment and its effects on our bioengineered weapon." As news of the alien puppy spread across the globe, the mood shifted dramatically. Fear gave way to amusement, and even endearment. Social media exploded with memes and jokes about the aliens' failed invasion. Sarah, now unofficially in charge of the alien creature she had dubbed Cosmos, found herself at the center of a media storm. As she petted the purring alien, she spoke to a sea of reporters. "It seems our visitors may have underestimated us," she said with a smile. "They thought they were unleashing a beast, but all I see is a new friend. Maybe it's time we showed them what humanity is really all about." As night fell over the Amazon, Sarah sat with Cosmos under the stars, wondering what the coming days would bring. One thing was certain: this was just the beginning of a very strange and wonderful adventure. The morning after the beast's arrival, Sarah woke up in a makeshift camp near the crash site. Cosmos, the alien creature, was curled up next to her, its iridescent fur glowing softly in the early light. As Sarah stirred, Cosmos opened its eyes and chirped happily. "Good morning to you too, little one," Sarah said, patting its head. The camp was already buzzing with activity. Scientists from around the world had flown in overnight, eager to study the alien visitor. Military personnel kept a watchful eye on the perimeter, though it was clear that Cosmos posed no threat. As Sarah led Cosmos out of her tent, she was met by Dr. Chen, the lead cynobiologist on the team. "Dr. Thompson," he said excitedly, "we need to run some tests on the creature. Are you ready?" Sarah nodded, but felt a pang of protectiveness. "Just remember, Dr. Chen, Cosmos is a living being, not just a specimen. We need to be gentle." Dr. Chen agreed, and they headed to the mobile lab that had been set up nearby. As they walked, Sarah noticed something odd. The local wildlife seemed to be following Cosmos. Birds flew overhead, monkeys swung from nearby trees, and even a jaguar watched from the bushes, all seemingly curious about the alien visitor. In the lab, the tests began. They took samples of Cosmos' fur, recorded its vocalizations, and observed its behavior. Sarah stayed close, comforting the creature when it seemed nervous. "This is extraordinary," Dr. Chen muttered, looking at a screen displaying Cosmos' brain activity. "The neural patterns are incredibly complex. This creature might be far more intelligent than we initially thought." As if to prove the point, Cosmos suddenly stood up on its hind legs and walked over to a computer. To everyone's amazement, it began tapping at the keyboard with its front paws. "Is it trying to communicate?" Sarah gasped. Words appeared on the screen. "Hello, friend. No harm." The lab erupted in excited chatter. Sarah knelt beside Cosmos, her heart racing. "Can you understand us?" she asked slowly. Cosmos nodded and typed again. "Yes. Learn fast. Want peace." Meanwhile, high above the Earth, Commander Zixthor was in a state of panic. The beast's behavior had thrown their entire invasion plan into chaos. "How is this possible?" he roared at his science officer. The beast was engineered to be a mindless killing machine. The science officer trembled. "It appears, Commander, that Earth's unique biosphere has had an unexpected effect on our creation. The beast seems to have evolved." Zixthor's tentacles writhed in frustration. "This is a disaster. The High Command will have my head if we don't salvage this situation." Back on Earth, news of Cosmos' intelligence spread like wildfire. Social media exploded with memes and jokes about the alien genius puppy. World leaders scrambled to formulate a response to this unprecedented situation. At the United Nations, an emergency session was called. The Secretary General addressed the Assembly. "Ladies and gentlemen, we face a unique moment in human history. The creature we've named Cosmos is not a weapon, but a sentient being seeking peace. We must decide how to respond." Debates raged. Some argued for caution, fearing a trick. Others saw an opportunity for interstellar friendship. As the arguments heated up, a message appeared on the main screen. It was from Cosmos. "Humans end. Aliens scarity. Ni help. Telk." A hush fell over the assembly. The Secretary General cleared his throat. "It seems," he said slowly, "that we have been offered a chance to open a dialogue, not just with Cosmos, but with the aliens who sent it." As the UN deliberated, Sarah sat with Cosmos in a quiet corner of the lab. The alien creature leaned against her, its fur shimmering with calming blues and greens. "You've certainly turned our world upside down, little one," Sarah said softly. "But maybe that's not such a bad thing." Cosmos looked up at her with its large, intelligent eyes and typed on a nearby tablet. "G good. Grow together." Sarah smiled, feeling a mix of excitement and trepidation about what was to come. The world had changed overnight, and she was at the center of it all. As she petted Cosmos, she wondered what other surprises the universe had in store for humanity. Outside, the sun set on a world forever altered. The stars seemed to shine a little brighter, as if welcoming Earth to a larger cosmic community. And in orbit, the alien ships waited, their commanders unsure of their next move in this unexpected game of interstellar diplomacy. Commander Zixthor paced nervously on the bridge of his ship. His tentacles twitched with every step. The large screen in front of him showed images of Earth, focusing on the Amazon rainforest where their ultimate weapon had landed. "Show me the beast again," he ordered. The screen changed, displaying Cosmos playing with a group of human children. The alien creature was running around, its rainbow fur shimmering in the sunlight. The children laughed as they chased it. Zixthor's eyes narrowed. "This is not what we planned," he muttered. His second-in-command, Officer Kraz, approached cautiously. "Commander, we've intercepted more Earth broadcasts. The humans are calling our weapon cute. Cute." Zixthor spat the word like it was poison. "Our fearsome beast is not cute. It's supposed to be terrifying." Kraz nodded nervously. "Yes, Commander. But it seems the Earth's environment has changed the beast. It's no longer following our programming." Meanwhile, on Earth, Sarah Thompson was giving a press conference. Cosmos sat beside her, its fur a calm blue color. "We've learned so much in the past few days," Sarah said to the crowd of reporters. "Cosmos has shown us that it's not just intelligent, but emotionally complex. It feels, it learns, and most importantly, it wants peace." A reporter raised his hand. "Dr. Thompson, has Cosmos told you anything about the aliens who sent it?" Sarah looked at Cosmos, who nodded, and began typing on a tablet. The words appeared on a large screen behind them. "Aliens scarcity. Think need power. But power not important. Friendship important." The crowd murmured in surprise. Sarah smiled and added, "It seems our visitors have a lot to learn about Earth and humanity." Back on the alien ship, Zixthor watched the press conference with growing frustration. "This is a disaster," he shouted. "Our weapon is betraying us to the humans." Officer Kraz cleared his throat. "Commander, perhaps we should consider a new approach. The humans seem open to communication." Zixthor whirled around, his eyes flashing. "Communicate? With primitives? Never. We are the Galactic Confederation. We conquer, we don't chat." But as Zixthor ranted, he noticed something strange. Many of his crew members were watching the Earth broadcasts with interest. Some even looked impressed. One young officer spoke up. "Commander, with all due respect, these humans seem more advanced than our reports suggested. They've turned our weapon into a friend. Maybe we should learn from them." Zixthor was about to shout at the officer when an alarm blared. "What now?" he growled. Kraz checked the sensors. "Commander, we're detecting multiple launches from Earth. They appear to be satellites." On Earth, space agencies around the world were working together in an unprecedented effort. Dozens of communication satellites were being launched, forming a network around the planet. At Mission Control, a technician turned to her supervisor. "Sir, the network is online. We're ready to broadcast." The supervisor nodded. "Send the message." In space, the satellites activated. A powerful signal beamed out, reaching not just the alien ships in orbit, but spreading out into the cosmos. On the alien ship, Zixthor watched in shock as the message appeared on their screens. It was simple, broadcast in every language on Earth, and now in the aliens' own language thanks to Cosmos' help. "People of the stars, we welcome you. We are humanity. We come in peace and offer friendship. Let us talk." The alien crew stared at the message, then at their commander. Zixthor felt the weight of their gazes. His plan for a quick, easy conquest was falling apart. These humans were not acting like any species they had encountered before. As confusion and uncertainty spread through the alien fleet, back on Earth, Sarah sat with Cosmos under the stars. The alien creature looked up at the sky, its fur shimmering with patterns that seemed to mimic the constellations. "What do you think will happen now?" Sarah asked softly. Cosmos typed its response. "Chang coming. Good Chang. Humans, Sheshovovi. Sarah smiled and patted Cosmos gently. The night was quiet, but she could feel the world holding its breath, waiting to see how the aliens would respond to humanity's offer of peace. High above, Zixthor stared at Earth, a planet that had turned his carefully laid plans upside down. For the first time in his long career as a conqueror, he felt something new: doubt. As days passed, the world's attention remained fixed on the Amazon rainforest. Sarah Thompson and Cosmos had become unlikely celebrities, their every move followed by millions around the globe. But for Sarah, the real work was just beginning. In a specially constructed research facility on the edge of the impact zone, Sarah and a team of scientists worked tirelessly to understand Cosmos better. The alien creature's abilities seemed to grow by the day. One morning, as Sarah entered the lab, she found Cosmos surrounded by holographic displays, its paws dancing over control panels. "Good morning, Cosmos," Sarah said, amazed. "What are you up to?" Cosmos turned, its fur shimmering with excited patterns. It typed rapidly on a nearby console. Learning, connecting, understanding. Dr. Chen, the lead xenobiologist, rushed over. "Dr. Thompson, you won't believe this. Cosmos isn't just learning our languages and sciences. It's teaching us about alien technology." Sarah's eyes widened as she looked at the displays. Complex diagrams and formulas floated in the air, depicting technologies far beyond human understanding. "Cosmos," Sarah asked gently, "are you sure you want to share this with us? Won't your people be upset?" The alien creature's response was immediate. "Not my people. Chose humans. Want peace, not war." The implications of this statement sent shockwaves through the scientific community and beyond. Cosmos wasn't just an intelligent animal. It was making moral choices, choosing peace over the warlike intentions of its creators. Meanwhile, in orbit, the alien fleet was in disarray. Commander Zixthor's authority was crumbling as more of his crew became fascinated by the humans' response to their invasion. "We can't just sit here and do nothing," Zixthor raged. "We must attack." Officer Kraz, usually timid, stood up to his commander. "Sir, with all due respect, that would be a mistake. The humans have shown no aggression. And our weapon, Cosmos, it's chosen to help them. We need to reconsider our approach." As arguments raged on the alien ships, Earth's governments were making unprecedented moves. The United Nations convened a special session to discuss the formation of a unified Earth government to deal with the alien presence. Sarah and Cosmos were invited to address the assembly. As they entered the Grand UN chamber, a hush fell over the crowd. World leaders leaned forward, eager to hear from this unlikely pair. Sarah spoke first, her voice steady despite her nerves. "Distinguished leaders, we stand at a crossroads in human history. The arrival of our friend Cosmos has shown us that the universe is stranger and more wonderful than we ever imagined. But it has also shown us the power of compassion." She gestured to Cosmos, who stepped forward. The alien's fur rippled with calming blues and greens as it began to type. Its words appeared on screens around the chamber. "Humans special. Face fier with kind Aeneas. Aliens ATCK. Humans OFFER friendship. This power stronger than any weapon." The chamber erupted in applause. Even the most skeptical leaders were moved by Cosmos' words and the sincerity that radiated from the alien being. As the UN session continued, drafting plans for a unified response to the alien presence, news came from the Amazon research facility. Dr. Chen's team, working with the knowledge shared by Cosmos, had made a breakthrough. "We've deciphered their communication systems," Dr. Chen reported excitedly. "We can now send a message directly to the alien fleet, bypassing their command structure. We can speak to all of them at once." The UN Secretary General stepped forward. "Then let us send a message not of fear or aggression, but of hope and invitation." As the sun set on this historic day, Sarah and Cosmos stood on the roof of the UN building, looking up at the stars. The alien ships were visible as faint points of light among the familiar constellations. "Do you think they'll listen?" Sarah asked softly. Cosmos nuzzled her hand gently and typed, "Some will change hard, but necessary humans shejo any way." Sarah smiled, feeling a mix of hope and trepidation. The next few hours would determine the course of human history. Would the aliens choose peace, or would Zixthor's warmongering prevail? As if in answer, a bright light suddenly appeared in the sky. A small ship, breaking away from the alien fleet, began its descent towards Earth. The first direct contact was about to begin, and the power of human compassion was about to face its greatest test. The world watched with bated breath as the alien ship descended towards the United Nations building in New York. Military jets escorted it, but their weapons remained dormant. This was a moment for diplomacy, not war. On the ground, a welcome committee had assembled. Sarah Thompson stood at the forefront, with Cosmos by her side. World leaders flanked them, a united front of humanity. The air buzzed with tension and excitement. As the ship landed, its sleek surface gleaming in the sunlight, Sarah felt Cosmos press against her leg. She looked down to see its fur shimmer with a mix of blue calm and yellow caution. "It's okay," she whispered. "We're making history." The ship's door opened with a soft hiss. Out stepped a figure that made the crowd gasp. It was clearly alien, tall, with tentacle-like appendages and iridescent skin, but it moved with a grace that seemed almost human. The alien raised its upper limbs in what appeared to be a gesture of peace. Then, to everyone's surprise, it spoke in perfect English. "Greetings, people of Earth. I am Kraz, representative of the Galactic Confederation. We come seeking understanding." Sarah stepped forward, her heart pounding. "Welcome to Earth, Kraz. We're glad you've chosen to talk." As Sarah and Kraz began to converse, cameras broadcasted the scene to billions around the world. In homes, offices, and public squares, humans of all nations watched in awe as the first peaceful interaction with alien life unfolded. Meanwhile, aboard the main alien ship, Commander Zixthor watched the proceedings with a mix of rage and disbelief. "Traitors," he hissed, his tentacles writhing. "Kraz and the others have defied my orders." But as he looked around the bridge, he saw that he was alone in his anger. The rest of the crew watched the broadcast with fascination and, increasingly, hope. Back on Earth, the dialogue between humans and aliens continued. Kraz explained their initial misunderstanding. "We believed conquest was the only way to interact with other species. But your response to Cosmos, your offer of peace even in the face of perceived threat, it has made us question everything." The UN Secretary General stepped forward. "We have much to learn from each other, Kraz. Perhaps we can start by exchanging knowledge, culture, and ideas instead of threats." As the talks progressed, a remarkable thing began to happen. All around the world, people started to come together. Old rivalries were set aside in the face of this new cosmic perspective. Humanity began to see itself not as divided nations, but as a single species taking its first steps into a larger universe. Cosmos, watching the proceedings, suddenly perked up. It rushed to a nearby computer and began to type rapidly. Sarah hurried over to read its message. "Important. Humans special. DNA FLXIBL can ADAPT. can be co no more. Scientists huddled around the computer, excitement building as they began to understand the implications of Cosmos's message. Humans had a unique genetic makeup that allowed for rapid adaptation. This, combined with their capacity for compassion and innovation, made them ideally suited for life among the stars. As this news spread, the mood shifted from cautious optimism to outright celebration. Humanity had not only avoided a war, but had found its place in the cosmic order. In orbit, the alien fleet received orders from the Galactic Confederation's Central Command. The invasion was officially called off. Instead, they were to establish peaceful relations with Earth and welcome humanity into the galactic community. Commander Zixthor, seeing his authority completely evaporate, slumped in his command chair. "I don't understand," he muttered. "How did we go from conquerors to this?" A young officer approached him, offering a datapad. "Sir, maybe you should read some of Earth's history. They call it diplomacy and cultural exchange. It seems quite interesting." As the day drew to a close, Sarah and Cosmos stood before a bank of cameras, addressing the world. Sarah spoke first. "Today marks a new chapter in human history. We faced the unknown not with fear, but with open minds and open hearts. And in doing so, we've gained not an enemy, but a universe full of potential friends." Cosmos typed its message, which was translated in real time. "Humans, HFY and EUA. Compassion, stronger than FER. Together, we grow." As night fell, people around the world looked up at the stars with new wonder. The alien ships, once a source of fear, now represented a bright future. Humanity had passed a crucial test, proving that even in the face of potential destruction, the power of compassion could change the course of history. The journey ahead would not be easy, but Earth was ready to learn, to teach, and to take its place among the stars. 1 year had passed since the day the aliens arrived. Earth had changed in ways no one could have imagined. The sky, once empty save for the moon and stars, now sparkled with the lights of alien ships and newly built space stations. In New York, the United Nations building had been transformed. A massive, crystal-like structure now rose from its center, serving as Earth's primary communication hub with the galaxy. Inside, representatives from Earth and dozens of alien species worked side by side. Sarah Thompson stood at a window, looking out over the city. Cosmos sat beside her, its fur shimmering with patterns that mimicked the bustling skyline. "Can you believe it's been a year?" Sarah mused. Cosmos typed on its ever-present tablet. "Time flies. Much progeriesses of humans." Sarah smiled and patted Cosmos gently. Their bond had only grown stronger over the months. Together, they had become the face of Earth's integration into the galactic community. Suddenly, an alert chimed. Sarah checked her communicator and grinned. "It's time," she said to Cosmos. "Are you ready?" They made their way to the Grand Assembly Hall. As they entered, a hush fell over the gathered crowd of humans and aliens. At the podium stood the Secretary General, flanked by Kraz and other alien diplomats. "Today," the Secretary General began, "we celebrate not just 1 year of peaceful contact, but the signing of the Galactic Charter of Rights. Earth is officially joining the Galactic Confederation as a full member." Applause erupted from all corners of the room. Sarah felt a lump in her throat. It was a moment she had dreamed of, but never truly believed would come so soon. As the ceremony proceeded, Sarah's mind wandered to all that had happened in the past year. The rapid advancements in technology, medicine, and science, thanks to the knowledge shared by their new alien friends. The cultural exchanges that had broadened humanity's perspectives. And perhaps most importantly, the way humans had come together, setting aside old rivalries in the face of this new grand adventure. But it hadn't all been easy. There had been challenges, fears to overcome, and difficult adjustments to make. Yet, time and again, humanity had shown its resilience and capacity for growth. Sarah was snapped back to the present as Kraz approached the podium. The alien diplomat's iridescent skin shimmered with what Sarah had learned was an expression of joy. "Friends, colleagues, fellow sentients," Kraz began. "When we first arrived at Earth, we came as conquerors. We thought we knew the way of the universe. But you, humans, taught us a valuable lesson. You showed us that compassion, curiosity, and cooperation are far more powerful than any weapon." As Kraz spoke, Sarah noticed movement at the back of the hall. To her surprise, she saw a familiar figure enter quietly. Commander Zix Thor. The once fearsome alien commander looked humbled, his posture less rigid than before. Zix Thor caught Sarah's eye and gave a small nod. She smiled back, remembering the long process of reconciliation that had led to this moment. Zix Thor had eventually accepted the new way of thinking, becoming a valuable voice in bridging the gap between old and new ideologies in the Galactic Confederation. The ceremony concluded with the signing of the charter. As the hall erupted in cheers, holographic displays lit up, showing similar celebrations taking place all over Earth and on planets across the galaxy. Later that evening, Sarah and Cosmos found themselves on the roof of the UN building, gazing up at the stars. The alien ships in orbit twinkled alongside familiar constellations, a visual representation of the new era humanity had entered. "So, Cosmos," Sarah said softly, "what's next for us?" Cosmos' fur rippled with excitement as it typed. "Explore. Learn. Grow. Universe big. Many adventurees waiting." Sarah laughed. "You know, a year ago, if someone had told me I'd be planning galactic adventures with an alien friend, I'd have thought they were crazy." Just then, her communicator beeped. It was a message from the newly formed Earth Space Academy. They wanted Sarah and Cosmos to lead the first human-alien joint expedition to a distant star system. As Sarah read the message aloud, Cosmos bounced with excitement. The two friends looked at each other, then back at the star-filled sky. A new chapter was beginning, not just for them, but for all of humanity. In that moment, under the vast canopy of stars, Sarah felt a profound sense of hope. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged stronger, wiser, and more united. The road ahead would have its obstacles, but Sarah knew that with friends like Cosmos and the spirit of cooperation they had fostered, there was no challenge too great to overcome. The universe awaited, full of wonders to explore and new friends to meet. Humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning.